Now, this is a very important week. President Trump actually has said that he has agreed 200 trade deals with countries across the globe. Speaking to Time magazine, Donald Trump said announcements would be made over the next 3 to 4 weeks. But Trump did not name any countries where deals have been completed. And the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, actually told ABC News that talks are ongoing.
I believe that he is referring to sub-deals within the negotiations we're doing. And, Martha, if there are 180
But those aren't actual deals.
Martha, if there are 180 countries, there are 18 important trading partners. Let's put China to the side because that's a special negotiation. There's 17 important trading partners, and we have a process in place over the next 90 days to negotiate with them. Some of those are moving along very well, especially with the Asian countries.
President Trump also used his Time magazine interview to say that China's President Xi Jinping had called him and that Chinese officials had met with U.S. on tariffs. China's Commerce Ministry said no trade talks are taking place with the U.S. China has actually exempted some goods from tariffs on U.S. imports and is considering further carve-outs, according to businesses notified of the changes. And staying in this theme, looking at trade tensions, the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that he's encouraged by what he called productive early trade talks with Japan and South Korea. In fact, Japan's finance minister said he will continue close dialogue on currency exchange rates, which will be tied to any trade deal, but that there was no discussion of a target rate for the yen. Our very own Lin is joining us this morning. Lin, great to see you. Give us a little bit more color in terms of these trade talks between Japan and the United States, and also what can we learn from them?
Hey, Sylvia, great to be with you. Now, we are expecting the second round of negotiations between the two countries to kick off in the latter half of this week. But I think it's worth taking stock of the optics here because we heard from the U.S. president at the weekend on his way to Pope Francis's funeral where he said, echoing what we heard from Bessent there as well, that those negotiations are going really well and that, quote, we are very close to a deal. But from the Japanese side, we are hearing a much more cautious tone here. The focus seems to be more on the content rather than speed. We heard from the Japanese Prime Minister before Parliament last week, basically saying that Japan is not willing to give a whole host of concessions just to ink a deal. And certainly one of the analyst views here is that perhaps countries like Japan and South Korea does have a leverage point here because with the sell-off of U.S. assets we've seen in recent weeks, that perhaps it is the U.S. president that is more wanting a quick win here to signal to market participants, to signal to trade partners as well, that there is positive sentiment ahead. But in terms of what is on the table and the issues that we are looking at, as you noted there, there was certainly expectation that perhaps the currency would be brought in. We did see that the respective finance ministers met late last week, that wasn't a topic, not yet at least, but we know that the US president has many times in the past mentioned that he believes the weak Japanese currency has hurt US export competitiveness. But it seems to be that the focus at the moment is on non-trade barriers. So US imports of autos into Japan is an example of that. Also in the commodities space, there's a couple of reports over the weekend suggesting that Japan may relax basically any kind of non-tariff barriers in terms of importing corn, soybean, as well as rice, although on that latter part, that is seen as a little bit controversial given the cultural significance of the staple and also just the political clout that rice farmers have in Japan ahead of that crucial upper house election in the summer as well. But we also look out for commentary in terms of LNG imports as well. Also, there are other issues like how to deal with China ahead and also on defense as well. Sylvia.
Thank you for the update, Lin. And for more on U.S. trade policy and the state of the country's economy, stay with CNBC. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will be speaking to our colleagues at 1 p.m. London time.